Breaking news coming out of the NBA today where Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups were both arrested by the FBI. Um, Let me just preface this by saying I believe in innocent until proven guilty. I also believe that, you know, you should let things, you know, play out before you make a conclusion and all this stuff. And so I don't want to make judgments. I'm not here to do that. I'm only here to react and bring the news as I see fit and what I've come to know. And also that I'm not completely well informed on this topic, where I don't know the ins and outs of all of it. I'm just reporting again what I know and what I think about it. So I'll give my thoughts on what's going on. I watched a pretty good video on it. It was on Nick Wright's podcast if you want to watch it there. I think he does a really good job of explaining the allegations here. Just my thoughts on all of this, and then I can go more into this article. Actually, let me just do that real quick. Where people named, there's two separate things here. There's people in the NBA gambling probe indictment. Eric Ernest, Marv's Fairley, Shane Hennon, Damon Jones, former player who played for LeBron, I believe, De Niro last year, and Terry Rozier. Now, we've known about Terry Rozier, and he's been under investigation. So we've known about this. And again, I'll explain what I know and what he was doing. But basically, he was making props bets on himself and, making excuses or trying to hit those in game for other people or himself or whatever. And I'll explain that more. And there's a separate case which I think is really big. It's a FBI. They named these people in the rigged poker scheme indictment. And I'll explain what that is to my best knowledge. Ernest Ayello, Nelson Alvarez, Luis Apekela, Amar Awade, Saul Betcher, Chauncey Billups, which was the big name, Matthew Dadino, Eric Ernest, Lee Fama, John Gallo, Marco Garzon, Thomas Gallardo, Jamie Gillett, Tony Goodson. Damn, a lot of people were mentioned in this one. Well, you can just read the west, read the rest if you want to. Damon Jones again named in this one too. So here's what I know on all this. And again, I think Nick Wright did a good job of explaining it on his podcast. If you want to go and watch that, but here's what how he explained it. With poker, if anyone has played poker before, what makes it legal from illegal basically comes down to if the house or the host, you would call it, is taken in a rake, which is, I guess you'd call it a tax or some pay. So if you ever played poker, and if I, which I do a lot, I go to my family's house and we play poker. And if we can bet anywhere from $100 each to $1,000 each to $1,000,000 each. It can be an absurd amount. That is legal. That is completely fine. What would be considered illegal is if I was hosting poker at my apartment with my family, and it was understood that the house, me, was taking in a rake, which was like a fee. So no matter how much money is bet by each person, it could be a cent each, it could be 10 cents each, it could be $1 each. If I'm taking in a rake, that makes it illegal. So that means basically everyone puts up, let's say 100, 100, 100, 100, but after every game, I take in like 2%, or I take in $20 or something like that. That's what a rake is, and that makes it illegal for reasons that it's just like it's not taxable and stuff like that. I would assume that's what I understand makes private poker legal and illegal. If the host, takes in a rake. So as long as the house or the host does not take in a rake, then it is completely legal. You can organize poker for thousands of people betting $10 billion each. That is fine as long as the house doesn't take in rake. That's basically the ins and outs of it. Now, for me, I don't think that's necessarily like ethically wrong. If you were to say, like, I'm gonna host a poker night and I make it known to y'all that, okay, because I'm hosting it, I'm going to take in $10 after every game. That's fine to me. That's not ethically wrong in my mind. Is it? Obviously, it's legally wrong, so you shouldn't do it. And I should preface actually by saying that you should not do this. It's illegal. But I'm saying like there's nothing morally wrong with that in my eyes. Everyone knows it's understood. They agree. They can do whatever. Like it's not ethical. It's not ethically wrong in my eyes. So that's what I thought this was at first. That's the way I understood things. That's how Nick Wright described it. But that's not what's happening here. What's being um, told or what's being informed is that it's not illegal in that way. It's illegal in the sense that the house or the host are doing things illegally, like um, counting cards or basically rigging the games. And you can do this in multitude of ways. I think one way Nick Wright described it is like if you play poker and you basically give someone pocket aces and you give someone pocket queens. And the person you're giving pocket queens to, you're in on it with him. You're going against this guy who has pocket aces. And yeah, you give him the better hand to start, but pocket queens guy, he will then go all in on the pre-flop. And so the pocket aces guy, he has the best hand that you can ever have to start with two aces. So he's going to call it. And then on the flop, another queen comes out. You basically then make sure that the one with two queens wins, and that guy's now screwed. That's how just one way you can rig games. I'm sure you can think of multiple ways to rig games in poker. It's basically cheating to your benefit. And this is bad. Now, basically what I understand and how Nick Wright described it is that Chauncey Billups was kind of used as he's at this table. Whoever was running these poker games illegally were basically like, hey, come to our poker night. Chauncey Billups is here. This is where Chauncey Billups plays poker. That's how he was involved in this, to my knowledge. Now, again, I don't want to make judgments. I don't want to jump to conclusions. This is what I know, and this is what I've heard. That is what it's being. Those are the allegations against Chauncey Billups, and that was his involvement in it. There is one distinct possibility that makes it like really look bad, or if it's just it's unfortunate. If Chauncey Billups did not know, which I'm going to assume he didn't until he's maybe proven that otherwise, but it's very well possible that the mafia or whoever was running this illegal poker games told Chauncey Billups, hey, come to our poker, we're going to use you as the whatever, and we'll give you some money for that. I don't think there's anything illegal with that, to my knowledge. And for all we know, Chauncey Billups had no idea that this was going on. That the mafia was doing this illegal poker to their benefit, running these illegal poker games. The problem is if Chauncey Billups did know that this was going on and he still decided, okay, I want to cut, let's do it. That's obviously really bad. But again, I'm going to assume innocence until proven guilty. I'm going to assume that he did not know. It's very possible he did not know. But if you're involved in that, it still can be held against you, I believe, and that'd just be unfortunate. But that's my knowledge of what is going on with the Chauncey Billups situation, which again, if he knew and if what is being told is true, is really bad. Again, initially, a lot of people thought it was going to be something like, oh, the house is just bringing in rake. That's usually the illegal poker that happens. But again, that's not really ethically wrong in my eyes. It's not like such a bad rap for Chauncey Billups if he was involved in that. But what they were doing and what he's being accused of, again, if he knew or not, is really bad. Like, that's really bad. Because again, imagine you're playing poker. If as long as the house told you, like, hey, we're going to take in a rake, and you agreed to it, you wouldn't be mad at that. Like, it's illegal still, but, like, as you playing in that poker game, like, it's like, whatever, okay. But if it's happening to where you're playing in a poker game and they're deceiving you by cheating and taking your money, that is really bad. It's illegal and it is really morally bad in my eyes. But again, we don't know his whole involvement. That's all I know, and that's what I've been informed of, and I'm relaying that to you guys. So quickly, I'll go over the Terry Rozier thing. And this is just, I want to, it's not even more of what happened. If you don't know what's happened with Terry Rozier, basically he was making prop bets on himself, or he was having friends or acquaintances do it, to where it would be like, you bet on Terry Rozier minus 4.5 assists this game. And he would purposely try not to hit that. That's the whole thing of Terry Rozier. He was purposely having bets placed, or by him or by other people. He knew of these bets, and he would try to change the game or change his play to hit those bets, which a lot of people thought that was the whole thing with Chauncey Billups first, because people are reporting it as the same thing. And that's something people hopefully are clear about when they're reporting this, is that, which I'm trying to do too, is that Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier has nothing to do together. Like, a lot of people thought initially when it came out, me included, because it was attached to Terry Rozier's name, is that Chauncey Billups was like, as the coach of the team, making things happen to either like lose games or win games or whatever. Like, and that would be really bad, but it's not that. It could be much worse if he knew about what's happening with the illegal poker games, but again, we don't know that yet. So let's make that clear. Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier are two completely different things. Again, it says it in this article. Gambling probe indictment and rigged poker scheme. Two completely different things. Now, that's what Terry Rozier was doing. Is it the worst thing in the world? It's illegal, so yes, I'm going to leave it at that. And I'll also say this. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but as long as these player prop bets are accessible and accepted and widely known and available, things like this are going to continue to happen. Because it used to not be this way. It used to be, oh, give me the San Antonio Spurs this game, give me the Heat this game, give me the Texans in this game, whatever. Now, like, it was unheard of before, where it's like, okay, you know what? Give me CJ Stroud for under 250 yards. Like, and the problem with this, again, I'm not saying it's wrong or it's bad that it's available at this way, but the problem comes is that now players have a really individual, controllable way to control games. Like, usually, if you would bet on, let's say, the Texans, Texans players are going to have this bet on the outside to Texans to lose this game, and the whole team as a whole is going to try to lose the game. It's hard to do that and not make it obvious. And a lot of times you don't have control over it either. What if the other team is just sucking and you end up winning because you can't make it that obvious? But with player prop bets, where it's just like Terry Rozier, under 4.5 assists, for him, that's easy. You can do something like Jontay Porter did, where it's like, oh, you come up with some injury, or you just don't pass the ball as much, or you try to make bad passes or put it in bad situations. Or if it's over points, it's like, it's easy not to score points if you really want to. Even if you're trying to make it look not obvious, like, you can just tweak your shot a little bit to where it veers to the right or veers to the left, and people would just think you had a bad shooting night. I do think this is going to happen more and more as player prop bets are available and widely accessible, because it puts the players in direct control of the bet outcome and their play. And that's just unfortunate. Again, I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it, but I just think personally, like, it's going to happen more. We're seeing it, Terry Rozier, Jontay Porter. It's going to happen more and more because, again, I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening right now by multiple other players, because it's so easy to do in that sense. Like, if you ever played basketball, it would be easy for me to, if my points are like over under 30.5, because, like, I'm that nice with it. It's easier for me to just, on like 5 or 10 shots throughout the game, just slightly push to the right or slightly push to the left. like, and it could just be considered a bad shooting night, just like that. I have direct control on the bet, and again, it's gonna happen more. I think it's probably happening as we speak, and it's just unfortunate. That's just the way it is going to be because it's human nature, and I just think it's gonna happen more. We'll see more and more of this. That is my knowledge of what's happening with these two allegations. I really wanted to make clear the Chauncey Billups situation because I was confused of what was going on first. And I feel like a lot of people are confused because they're mixing Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups. Me, I'll try to make this video just Chauncey Billups, so I'm not attaching Terry Rozier. And hopefully people will understand what the allegations are now. After this video, I hope it helped you understand the whole thing with Chauncey Billups. And I just want to give my thoughts on it and relay the information that I was given. So that's going to be it for me. Hopefully, at the end of the day, Chauncey Billups did not know that what was going on for his sake. I did hear Tiago Splitter will be the interim head coach for the Trailblazers, so as a Spurs fan, I'm glad to see that. Obviously, the whole situation, I'm not glad that happened, but I'm glad Tiago Splitter is getting a chance to be interim head coach for the Trailblazers. Let me know down below what you think about all of this. Again, what you agree with, disagree with, what you know about the situation. Maybe I had something wrong, and please let me know if I did have anything wrong. I'd love to hear from you guys.